This is episode 3 of the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast with VP of Growth at Netpulse, Greg Skloot.
Technology, it's the great equalizer, right? When we think about distribution and making it easier for people to consume a service, right? Technology has been the thing, and this is for industry agnostic, right? This is for anybody, right? Technology has been the thing that has brought education, healthcare, you name it, to larger groups of people that historically have struggled to get it. Mobile and technology in general can help a club or any fitness organization reach a broader audience.
Welcome to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast for club owners, operators, and fitness professionals. I am your host, Josh Trent, and this is your number one trusted resource for the accelerating world of fitness technology. Each week, we bring you an expert interview with global influencers at the crossroads of fitness and technology. You'll gain the insights, tools, and inspiration you need to stay connected to the pulse of what matters most for your fitness business in the age of exponential technologies. This podcast is brought to you by the Fitness Industry Technology Council, who is mobilizing resources to drive the fitness industry forward and representing leading companies and organizations to success through collaboration. This show is supported by Videri Ventures, a boutique investment and advisory firm helping early mature and late-stage enterprises succeed in a new era. Welcome back to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast. Thank you so much for your iTunes reviews this week. We are growing, and I'm excited for today's episode on mobile apps and the future of fitness. We're going to be learning from Greg Skloot. I had a tremendous conversation with Greg. You are going to get energized by this man. You know, he drinks no coffee, by the way. This is all just natural energy from him. And you're going to hear it in his voice, not only his passion and his inspiration behind why he does what he does for the fitness industry, but why he's so passionate about technology, what this means to the future of our industry. Today, we're going deep into mobile apps, how they produce value, and what kind of strategy a club owner and an operator can use, and what new technology is driving mobile usage inside and outside of the four walls of the health club. Interestingly enough, why 1 out of 4 Domino's pizzas is sold on mobile, how to meet this new consumer, the Gen Z, in the next 2 to 3 years on their phones, unpacking who that person is and how to meet them, how to get them engaged through mobile. And lastly, how mobile tech is giving the health and fitness industry the ability to reach more members than ever before, which is why we're all doing what we do now. Let's jump into this fun and energetic conversation with Greg Skloot. Greg is an entrepreneur building tech for the fitness industry. As VP of Growth at Netpulse, Greg leads sales, customer success, marketing, and operations for the number one provider of mobile apps for health clubs. He splits time between SF, visiting club operators all over the world, helping them leverage mobile to grow their businesses. Before Netpulse, Greg was co-founder and CEO of Attend.com, where he raised $3 million in VC funding and led a team of 30 employees. He's a frequent author and speaker about marketing and digital strategy, and the author of several ebooks, including startupsheartcustomers.com, a popular online guide to sales and marketing. He holds a BS from Northeastern University, where he sits on the Alumni Board. Greg Skloot, welcome to the show.
Hey, Josh, thanks for having me.
This is going to be fun, man. We talked a little bit before we recorded here. Today's show, we're focusing on mobile apps and the dramatic impact that they're having on the fitness industry. Let's dive right in, Greg. What was your background in marketing and how did that affect what you do now for Netpulse? Then we'll go into mobile apps.
I joke that I kind of stumble into almost anything I do. So I don't know if I really had a major background in marketing before I started in the tech industry. But, you know, I've always had a passion for entrepreneurship and people and technology. I mean, I started my first business when I was 14 years old in my parents' basement.
What? What'd you do when you were 14?
I started a computer repair company.
Awesome.
And fixed computers and built websites and ran that all the way through high school into college. Interestingly, right around that time, one of the first businesses I played with was a early website that was essentially like what MyFitnessPal today is on an app, but all on the web. Which looking back was kind of a silly idea, but nonetheless kind of got me into the tech and fitness world, and it was a lot of fun. But fast forward to now, I kind of jumped into Netpulse about 2 years ago, and way back when Netpulse used to do something totally different. We were in the cardio software business, and when I joined, we were just kind of completing our evolution to being in mobile, and now our entire focus and my whole world revolves around mobile and technology and the fitness industry. So it's a very exciting place to be. So I've always had an innate passion for the growing business side.
Yeah.
The fitness industry, I'll say I stumbled into a couple of times by accident. And this time has been just a ton of fun. I think that the fitness industry in general is just in such a good position for disruption, right? So many new things that we could do.
It's so archaic, Greg.
Exactly.
I was a trainer for 10 years. And
there you go.
One of the things that bothered me so much is, an hour of time for an hour of payment. And that just drove me up the wall. So now this is why I'm so excited about how tech can help clubs and trainers really rise above this issue. Yeah,
absolutely. I think the scalability of fitness is for sure still slow. And as we think about opportunities with, digital training, with wearables, lots of components of the fitness technology ecosystem that can extend where a member gets value, whether it be inside the club's four walls or out. I think there are a lot of opportunities there where we could start to see more scale versus I spend an hour in the gym with a trainer, I need one trainer per hour. It's so interesting that you start to see these industries, like fitness, that are just so traditional, so classically brick and mortar, that are really starting to evolve and be disrupted with technology. Processes that have been done the same for decades and decades, you now start to have new technology tools that can really change the game for an operator in health clubs. So it's definitely interesting for sure.
And you live in San Francisco. This is kind of the technology hub here on the West Coast. We talked about what you're excited about, but just share with the Fitness Plus Technology audience, the mobile apps piece. What do you think that big impact is right now in fitness? I mean, you've seen the growth from the beginning, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about San Francisco, I mean, it is absolutely the hub. When I moved here 2 years ago, I'd come from Boston, and I think, part of the reason was honestly, I just wanted to get the heck away from the snow. So I moved right in mid-December, so just before all the blizzards in Boston began. But one of my main motivations for coming was the technology and entrepreneurship center of excellence that San Francisco is. It certainly was not for the cost of living, because that is still insane.
Right.
But nonetheless, some days it's worth it. So I mean, when I think about mobile for the fitness industry, I even before we even talk about fitness, I zoom out a little bit and just talk about digital and mobile in general, for classic brick and mortar businesses. And when you look at organizations like Domino's Pizza, for example, with their pizza tracker. Now, Josh, have you ever ordered pizza from the Domino's pizza tracker?
Well, maybe when I was like 19, I might have done. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I gotta hand it to these guys who make terribly unhealthy pizza. It is absolutely brilliant. And essentially the premise is you can order your pizza from a phone and track the entire thing from when it's going into the oven to when it's getting delivered to your door. And the beauty of it is that, fast forward, a couple of years from when they built it, Domino's is selling about 25% of all of their revenue is coming from phones and tablets, direct orders, which is just mind-blowing to me. That means 1 out of every 4 pizzas these folks are selling is through a mobile or a tablet channel. So it's very clear that the folks that get it, that understand the value of digital, even if they're in a classically brick-and-mortar business like selling pizza, can have a tremendous impact on revenue. So when coming full circle back to your question, when we really zoom into the fitness industry and how we should approach having a digital component to our offering, thinking beyond just the, physical box of a health club, I like to think about mobile in 3 categories. 3 categories of value that a member gets and a club gets by having a mobile and digital strategy. So the first category is operations. And this is the basic table stakes type of functionality that if I can order my Starbucks by scanning a QR code, and if I can track my pizza, then heck, I should be able to check into my health club with a digital barcode on my phone. I should be able to see my Group X schedule and sign up for a class, add it to my calendar, that kind of stuff. And I should be able to, if I'm a member of a club with multiple locations, I should be able to see them on a map, get the hours of operation, the amenities, that kind of stuff. And honestly, Josh, like that type of stuff, I wouldn't even brag about it. It's the basic bare bottom minimum that anybody running a fitness business needs to have in 2016. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of step one for mobile. But more to your question is, and where things get more interesting, is in the second category, which is engagement. So the way I think about this is that historically, when I become a member of a health club, the value exchange there, right? I'm purchasing a monthly membership, and in return, I'm getting access to a facility, access to machines, and access to, in some cases, fitness professionals, like yourself when you were a trainer, right? That's like the primary value exchange that happens when I sign up for a gym membership.
Sure.
Well, what's so fascinating about digital and mobile is that it opens up the door for the club to start to deliver value to the member, not just when they're a couple times a week in the facility, but when they're going on a run outside. So for example, there I'm referring to using mobile to allow a member to set fitness goals, track their workouts, sync up wearable devices like Fitbit. Rewards and loyalty programs that motivate members to move, along their towards their fitness goals. So when we pull that stuff off well, and we can start to give members rewards points for both the run on the treadmill they did in the club and the bike ride they did around the lake, on a Saturday morning, and the club can be a part of both of those aspects of the member's fitness journey. To me, that's really compelling for the modern day health club. It makes the membership more valuable, more relevant to the consumer, right, to the member. So that's that second category of true member engagement, being able to interact and deliver value to the member digitally. Now, if we pull that off well, right, if we're successfully using an app to engage and motivate a member, we win the opportunity to market to them. Right, and anybody who's listening in that's on the marketing side of things, knows the basics of if I have eyeballs on a channel, that channel becomes valuable, right? So if we have people that are looking at our app and engaging, we win that opportunity to market. And when I'm thinking about marketing, I'm thinking about driving member referrals through mobile, promoting special deals and offers, upsells on personal training. General communication. When we think about the different channels and ways to reach the modern day consumer, and we look at the average open rate of an email and the the rejection certainly from millennials of even often having a landline phone,
sure.
let alone being
people
able to
have landline phones still.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess some do.
My parents do. But when we start to think about that, digital starts to become a wildly appealing way to market and interact with our customer base. So, Josh, that's like the high level of how I think about mobile and how it relates to the fitness industry today.
And there's a lot of different segments. I mean, you gave the high level, but going deeper, we're looking at millennials, we're looking at boomers, we're looking at Gen Z. These are all unique people that approach fitness and technology in a very unique way. When it comes to consumer evolution, I mean, how is the industry and how is Netpulse specifically using this tech to meet these ever-changing demands?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, let's take those one at a time. Let's start with millennials. So, I mean, millennials are the coming of age generation. I mean, they're slowly taking on more leadership roles. They're going to quickly become the biggest consumer segment in regards to purchase power. So they're pretty important. And millennials purchase and interact with businesses just incredibly differently than their parents did, right? So when we think about millennials, we're thinking about folks that are incredibly anti-commitment. And us in the fitness industry, that's kind of a problem, isn't it? Because our whole business model has historically been around a monthly commitment. But millennials they're buying less houses, they're buying less cars, they're going for ClassPass, they're willing to pay more for extreme flexibility. So, when I think about the consumer evolution and trends for the fitness industry, we could start to use mobile to allow a millennial more choice, more flexibility, being able to see classes and register on the fly, being able to purchase additional services like personal training from their phone. I think in the long run, the fitness industry needs to start thinking about different business and economic models, like a pay-as-you-go model. Brian O'Rourke and I wrote an ebook earlier this year about some of our predictions for the Health Club of 2020. and how it's going to look so different than it does today. And that was one of the big ones, flexibility of purchasing, different models of consumption. So we have to bake that flexibility into our business models for millennials, because the days of just getting them to sign up and commit to a year-long or a 6-month membership are limited.
Man, you bring up such a great point. There was an article, I'm not sure if you saw it. It was from New York Post, and it was titled "Millennials Are Killing Gyms Too." And it was this path. It was this path of a 34-year-old who was a fitness instructor, and she kind of changed her habits just based off of what you're talking about, Greg, which is this non-commitment piece. So then, how do we use this tech to reach the millennial? What does that look like on a granular basis?
Yeah, tactically, millennials are looking at that phone screen more than most other things. The stat is that the average person, certainly in the millennial generation, is looking at their phone over 100 times a day, and north of 3/4, so north of 75% of millennials report never even separating from their phone. And I have to say, I fitted this generation.
So do I.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's true. I can't think of a time where, even when I'm asleep, the phone's sitting on my nightstand next to me. So it's very clear that if we use that well, there's tremendous opportunity. So coming back to your question, tactically, again, it means more purchase and registration from the phone, right? It's being able to select different product offerings. So whether it's unique classes, training, digital coaching, all of these different types of mediums or transactions that can be consumed from a mobile phone are what's going to be how we're going to engage with millennials digitally going into the next few years. I think we're already starting to do that, and that's not super new.
Absolutely. And then, kind of the cohort after the millennials, this Gen Z market, these are people that are born mid-1990s, early 2000s. These are the gym members of the future. What are their demands? What do they want to see from a seamless mobile perspective?
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's I'm definitely in the millennial, and I missed Gen Z by a bit, but it's interesting how we're so close and yet so very different. I think that the Gen Zers are even more social media minded, but they're different. So while we might use traditional social advertising on Facebook to reach millennials, a lot of Gen Zers look at Facebook as the thing their parents do, right? And we need to reach them on more even more, modern media like Snapchat and Instagram. So, mobile wise, we need to think, well, okay, if those type of people are used to these, very modern, new age and less traditional types of media like Snapchat, we need to start to build our mobile user interfaces and experiences and products to match that type of experience for the Gen Yer. So where that comes in tactically is they might want to see things even more social. While a millennial might be satisfied with a mobile app that's focused around transaction, i.e. registering for a personal training session, a Gen Yer wants to be able to, share and post real-time photos and videos of their workouts, engage with more community. Just have more of a social bend, I think is really important for the Gen Zers.
What did you see from your work with UFC Gym or Good Life? You work with a lot of top brands in the industry. For Gen Z specifically in the interaction in clubs through mobile, what's really helped? What's risen engagement for these Gen Zers?
Yeah. So thinking about a couple examples, the idea of being able to snap a selfie, publish it right from the app, have the app, plug in a little watermark at the bottom with the club's logo and automatically publish it to Facebook, right? That's the kind of, it's simple functionality, but that's the type of stuff a Gen Zer is going to be more interested in versus a late stage millennial probably doesn't care quite as much about. So it's that type of social functionality that they really get excited about.
So this piece where they have the phone, it's connected to their body, like you had said, right? Maybe even never leaves their pocket, their hand, or their nightstand. What does that look like from someone going into a gym? Maybe walk us through a typical day with someone using an app who's a gym member who is in Gen Z category and who's motivated to get fit.
Yeah, it might start with them getting a push alert, a little notification that buzzes their phone that prompts them about a new, so let's call it a new class or something like that available at the club. They tap on that push alert, it gives them all the details. They don't have to register, they don't want to commit, but they stroll in at whatever time is easy for them. There's no registration. They might walk in and do it. At the end, the phone might prompt them to give quick feedback, similar to Uber, rate the experience 1 through 5 stars.
Sure.
It might allow them to share that experience to social media. It might then, based on the data they provide, give them recommendations of other classes they might be interested in. It's that type of experience.
Yeah. And the fascinating part about this as we transition to boomers, my dad's a boomer. A lot of people who are making waves in the fitness industry are in that bracket. We know that Pew Research just published a report, I think it was early this year, and it was that millennials have now overtaken baby boomers as America's largest generation. But for the boomers, what do we meet with them for technology? How do we meet the boomer generation? How do we make them first, technologically savvy and have that digital literacy to engage in a mobile app? And I mean, honestly, Greg, do these mobile apps even relate to that boomer generation?
Yeah, it's a great question. To an extent, they certainly do. It's definitely not going to be as strong as millennials, right? But a lot of boomers, I'm thinking about my parents. I mean, they have iPhones. So it's not a question of it's not a question as to whether or not they are equipped for it. It's a question of how they're going to use it. So, a boomer is going to use much more of the transactional components of a mobile offering, right? So they're going to use it to look at a class schedule. They're going to use it to contact the club. They're going to use it to see what other locations are available. So they're going to use more of, coming back to my original description of an app in those 3 categories, they're going to probably fall more into the operational category. And to an extent, I think the marketing category, right? They are still, plenty of them are still using Groupon, right? So they're certainly still down to redeem digital coupons and offers. Mm-hmm. Invite other friends. They're still certainly social. But they're more intentionally social versus really, really widespread social. And by that, I mean, a boomer might be more apt to invite one friend to join the club, hence making a referral, versus posting a selfie of themselves to a wider audience, right? So it's all different, features of a mobile offering that are going to appeal to these different demographics. But ideally, there's something for everybody.
This year you published through, I think it was your actual report, it was Unlocking Mobile Feedback. And there's a really cool quote. It was about a crystal ball. And you said, imagine if we had a crystal ball that let us see what each member is thinking. We could know when a member has a great workout or when they're considering canceling their membership. Talk a little bit about this Unlocking Mobile Feedback PDF. We'll make sure to link that in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a prime example of what mobile allows us to do. So when we think about mobile as a foundation, right, because everybody is on their phones, they're using apps, we could do those first 3 things I listed pretty easily, right? We could allow them to check in with a barcode, see class schedules, track their workouts, mark it. But when we have that cranking, it opens up the door to do so many other powerful things now that we have people plugged into our mobile channel, right? And one of those is gathering feedback. Right? This is a classic problem for health club operators. We know that we have an annual retention. We know that we're on average, it's retaining about 65%, which means almost a third of my customers walk out the door every year. And I'm often finding out which ones when they're at the front desk or they're calling to cancel. So, and this has been a classic problem in the industry. So, we thought as we build on mobile, what can we do with mobile to help alleviate that and get better intelligence and insight? So this idea behind mobile feedback is allowing a member to give quick, low barrier to entry feedback from their phone. So not filling out a long email survey, not doing an NPS thing, nothing technical or complicated. It's just like after you call an Uber car and you have to rate the driver 1 through 5 stars before you can order your next Uber. Well, why can't you do that exact same thing for your gym? Every time you do a workout, give us a 1 through 5 star rating. Every time you have a PT session, give us a rating. And we can when we do that, we can start to build a baseline. So we know that, Josh is an average of a 4.6 rating. And man, if he ever comes in with a 2-star rating, we know something really went wrong. And we can immediately send an automatic, email alert or text message to the right staff member to reach out to Josh and re-engage him before he ends up with enough negative experiences where he's on the track to cancel. So as you can imagine, if we pull that off right, it really is. It's like having a crystal ball into knowing who are the members that are the happiest that I should talk about, upselling personal training to, and who are the members that we need to save and prevent from canceling before it's too late.
The power of this, I'm thinking, is this proactive nature, right? Because it would be easy if everyone used the smartphone, used an app. That would be the way to go for any club operator or even a trainer, right? Like you were saying, to give feedback on sessions. But when we look at the roadblocks, I mean, what do you see for people not wanting to adopt the technology? I think we're facing, Greg, this kind of mindset where there's some resistance to technology. Maybe people feel like it's too complicated or it won't work. What do you say for people that are in scarcity mindset around tech versus people that are in growth mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the scarcity mindset folks are becoming a smaller and smaller group, right? So I mean, that's, I think, just the first foundation of it. I mean, more and more people, it's just becoming very clear that the basics of tech, like a smartphone and apps, aren't that advanced anymore. It's pretty commonplace. Roadblocks for sure, to be honest, though, Josh, I think it's more on the business side than the consumer side. I think that businesses, including health clubs particularly, are slow to adopt new technology. I think the members are ready to rock, right? But when I'm a health club operator and I've been doing the same thing for the last 2 decades, changing my whole process, just change management in general, adopting new technology, training my staff, that's a tall order, right? That's a lot to do. So I have found that that's the biggest roadblock. To be totally frank, and I say this to a lot of our customers and the folks that are considering launching mobile, there are going to be the folks that get it, that leverage mobile as a competitive advantage, and there are going to be the ones that don't. And the ones that don't are going to get their butts kicked by the ones that do. And that's kind of going to be the reality of health clubs in the next 5 years, as Brian and I wrote about. The savvy operator is going to understand how to use technology as a powerful accelerant to their marketing programs, to their referral strategy, to their member retention and engagement.
I'm thinking back to when I was a trainer and I worked for the 24-hour chain, as a lot of trainers do. And I always thought about, what if I could actually use something where I could scale my service and I could have a lifestyle as a trainer where it wasn't just about me being 1 hour of my time for 1 hour of their payment. How do you see mobile helping trainers scale their business and giving them a little better quality of life?
Yeah, look, I mean, digital training is a huge topic. And one of the problems with PT, right? And I'm sure you saw this at 24. What's the typical health club's percentage adoption of PT in the member base? I think the average is between 5 and 7%. There are a few clubs that have a lot more, and I mean, they're few and far between. So, I mean, heck, Josh, that means we're talking that out of 100 members, we've got 5 PT clients and 95 that aren't doing it. So to me, that presents a huge opportunity to bring different types of training, because as you know from being in that role, training can be the difference between meeting your health fitness goals and not, right? It can be the difference between success and failure. So sure. Whatever we can do with technology to bring that benefit to members is just huge. So, both from the trainer's perspective of wanting to scale and the 95% of members that still want to get access to your awesome services, we need to think about technology there. So, a bunch of things here, right? Offering different tiers of training that involves some in-person, but some digital. Being able to prescribe workouts, being able to track a member's progress, being able to let them use a wearable device that tracks their progress, that shares the data with the trainer, right? I've seen some really great technology where we could record workouts and have them available on video. They could be even taken from the app. Let a trainer be able to customize a set of a workout routine, make a mix and match recipe, if you will, and prescribe it to a member that they can then do it all from the app, right? I mean, these are big opportunities when it comes to the digital component of a training program that can allow a trainer to scale, right? That can open up the door to allowing them to have more clients and open up the door to allowing more members to get the benefits of PT.
You're bringing up such awesome points and connecting the dots between wearables, virtual coaching, live streaming workouts. Clubs are using these, Greg. They're piecing them together. Who do you think is doing an awesome job of using mobile first in the way that they talk to their members, no matter what age bracket they're in? A club or a brand or just maybe a company that's doing a great job of using mobile first to meet their members' needs?
Yeah, I mean, a company, and we talked about them a little earlier, but MyZone is a great one, right? So fantastic technology, highly utilized in clubs, high engagement. We actually recently integrated it into the Netpulse app. So if a member does a workout with MyZone, their MyZone effort points will pull right in. It'll count towards their fitness goals, the fitness challenge that the club might be running in the app. So that's a great one.
The exponential growth that we're seeing in technology as we kind of move towards the end of the show, how do you think this relates to changing people's lives, and what role do you want to play with Netpulse in changing lives?
Right. I mean, Josh, technology, it's the great equalizer, right? When we think about distribution and making it easier for people to consume a service, right? Technology has been the thing, and this is for industry agnostic, right? This is for anybody, right? Technology has been the thing that has brought education, healthcare, you name it, to larger groups of people that historically have struggled to get it. So I see technology and mobile and the stuff my team is building at Netpulse as one of the great tools that are going to help health club operators bring their value, realize their mission of helping people become healthier to a bigger group of people. And whether that be through using the app to make it easier for members to refer their friends and have more people involved in the fitness journey, whether it's through delivering digital coaching programs or encouraging people to exercise even when they're outside the club with wearables. There are so many different ways that mobile and technology in general can help a club or any fitness organization reach a broader audience. I'm personally very excited about the prospect of helping, our partners in the fitness industry do that well.
What parting words might you have for a fitness trainer, operator, and owner, somebody who's listening that's feeling inspired? I mean, what can they do today? What can they do tomorrow to start looking into being more mobile first?
Yeah, of course, I'm a little biased here, but certainly having a mobile platform is an important step. Having the right stack of technology supporting it's very important. But I think at the higher level than that, it's being open to change, right? It's looking at your processes and never being satisfied, right? It's looking at the way a member refers their friends and thinks to themselves, and an operator thinks to themselves, we could do this more efficiently. This could be better, right? Looking at the way their members work out and thinking, I can help this member get healthy more efficiently. Let me think about what other tools and value I can deliver to them, leveraging technology to help this member reach their fitness goals. And if I do that well, they are going to be a far more loyal member for me, a member that refers, the type of member I really want to have. And that really all comes back to leveraging technology the right way.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today. This has been a tremendous conversation. We are going to link everything that Greg and I talked about in the show notes today. You can learn more about Netpulse at netpulse.com. Greg, thanks for coming on, man. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Hey, Josh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Operators, owners, and trainers need to work together in satisfying three categories of mobile and digital strategy: operations for check-ins, schedules, signups, maps, and amenities, and more. Also engagement, how to interact and bring value to supporting that member's fitness journey via syncing wearables, loyalty programs, and rewards in and out of the club, and marketing to drive member referrals, upsells, promotions, and general communication. Apps and wearables are now the consumer norm. As clubs, the focus in 2017 needs to be on training staff to meet the technology demands of the new members. Greg talked about successful clubs always being open to change, looking for ways to reach members and use new tools that can add and deliver more value. Digital training is changing the landscape for the fitness floor and will give trainers the ability to scale their business beyond that traditional model while opening up the door to allowing more members to get the benefits. Thank you for spending some time with me on the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast. I want to thank our sponsors, Videri Ventures and the Fitness Industry Technology Council. You can learn more about becoming a valued partner with FitC, as well as access all the links and resources from today's show by heading over to fittechcouncil.org/podcast. If you're listening on your phone, tap the show artwork and the live link will appear in purple. Support this podcast by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. If you've gotten value and been able to take inspired action from the guests and information on this show, head on over to fittechcouncil.org/review, and you can leave your voice to be heard live on the iTunes airwaves. Or just simply tap that show artwork and the review link will be in purple for you to leave right from your phone. Next week, we have another phenomenal show with an expert guest to inspire you at the crossroads of fitness and technology. So until I see you again next week, be well, have an amazing day, and go out there to connect online and offline with the people you care about most.